Hello again and welcome back. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. Today we're going on with our last few prompts of the July Junk Journal Challenge. It is ran by Lee from Lee Creates and she's at Lee's Art and Junk Journal Wonderland. So we're coming close to the end of the challenge. We've got 3 prompts left. We've got antique pattern, ticket and book page. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to group all those together and do a double spread with, including those and a few other things. And I'm also going to show you my cover because I've finally got around and done my cover to my journal. So at the end of the spread today, I'll do a quick walkthrough of my finished journal and show you what I did on the cover and flick through each page to finish up. So let's get started. I'll set up my table and I'll show you what I'm going to do today. So this was our last spread of Teabag and Old Person. So we'll turn over and I have a book page here and I've selected this page to work on. So let me show you what I'm going to be doing today. I have pulled out a printable from an Etsy page called The Torn Page, and I downloaded some William Morris printables maybe about 3 or 4 years ago now. I purchased them and I've been using them off and on over the years, and I love William Morris. I love how he uses nature, and he uses a lot of flowers and leaves in his design, and it's got a real Art Nouveau craftsman kind of feel to it. I pulled out this one because I liked this little blue flower here, and I also found some flowers, and they're forget-me-nots. And I got those forget-me-nots out of the Classic Horticulturalist. I've used this book before, some of you may have seen it, but it's got lovely plates of flowers, and I have fussy cut out the forget-me-not. I don't think that this flower here in this William Morris print is a forget-me-not, but it's pretty close. I also have pulled out some book page out of the same book of the first Botanic Gardens, and I'm going to use some of this book page. And I also have pulled out a photo frame that I'm going to cover. This is a Simple Stories, I think, frame, and it's out of a School Days collection, and I'm probably never going to use it. So I'm going to cover this and turn it into a photo frame to put some of the flowers in. And out of that William Morris printable package from The Torn Page, and I'll link her below, she also has William Morris prints that are in the shapes of tickets. I have printed a few of those off, and I'll use some of the tickets out of this, and it's got a William Morris print in the background. I'll show you that. Some of them have just the designs on the tickets with no text, and then some of them have text on them. So I'm going to get started by covering the frame and doing the backgrounds on the pages and prepping the page. So I'll probably put that to a sped up video and some music just till we get to the stage where I've got everything prepped and we can put the pages together. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, I've prepped the backgrounds of the pages. I'll just show you what I did. So for this one, I obviously just stuck down the William Morris antique pattern. The name of this one is called Pimpernel. And then on the opposite page, where I cut this out of a book, because obviously one of the prompts for today is book page, I have torn out the remaining edges of the page that I cut it out of, and I'm going to use that as a little bit of a frame. And you can see also that I have done some stenciling. So I just did some stenciling in here with white ink, and then when it overlapped onto the book page, I did it a little bit in vintage photo. And you would have seen that I covered that really brightly coloured frame with book page. So you can see on the back I tore up all little bits of different book page. There's music, there's dictionary, some of those pages out of the lace book that I used a few prompts ago. And then I have just put a little bit of white gesso on it, and then some ink, inked the edges. And I've cut out of the same book that I got the flower from, I've cut out the first Botanic Gardens and some information about that, and then I've just done the same stencil with some vintage photo onto the background. So let's put our page together. I think that what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, and then we'll glue it all together, and then I'm going to decorate it with some gold. I'm not sure where, but let's do that first. So, all right, I'm thinking I'd like to stamp a number. So let's do that. I'll stamp a number down here. And this is out of Tim Holt's Tidbits, Stampers Anonymous Tidbits. It's a little bit off center, but not much we can do about it now. And then I've got one that says limited edition, and that is out of All in Create Happiness and Nature, number 281. Yes, that'll be good. We'll let that dry. And then I just want to stamp a few little leaves on this one. And this is just a leaf stamp out of my stash. Okay, we'll let that dry. And we'll do a little bit of stamping on this one over here. I think what I'd like to do on this page is just stamp a few little marks on it. I have this stamp that has a little bit of ledger on it, and it's an old retired Stampin' Up stamp. And I'm just going to stamp a little bit down in the corner here. And I'm going to use this one here from All in Create, and it's Ephemera Digits, and its number is 438, and I'm just going to put a few little marks around. Okay, we'll let that one dry, and we'll work on this one again. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to get the mask and put it back over where I have stenciled. I'm just going to draw some lines on one side only of each little tile. So to create almost like a little bit of a highlight, show you what I mean. So see how I've just put a little bit of gold on one side of the pattern, and it adds a little bit of a shadow almost in gold. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one, but I'm going to do it in white pen and a little bit of gold where it overlaps. Just going to use my white gel pen and draw around some of the edges of the pattern. There we go. Okay, that will be enough to make a difference. Sorry if you can hear a little bit of noise. It's because the neighbours have come out and they've decided to have a game of touch footy in the backyard, which is a very Australian thing to do. Might be able to hear a little bit of noise in the background. Now, I think that I'd really like to try and put a little bit of gold highlight onto this. Just going to add a little bit of water to that. Now I'm going to have to be careful that I don't touch too much of the ink with this, aren't I? Okay, I'm just going to touch the edge of this with a little bit of gold. But possibly not all the way around, just little bits of it. Okay, let's set that aside. We'll do this one first. So I'm going to glue this on. I have got some tickets here that I cut out of that William Morris digital. And what I've done is I've glued a couple of tickets together to create a little ticket book. And on the inside, I have our prompt, which is antique pattern. And we're using our William Morris antique pattern. And on the tickets, actually, the William Morris tickets. And then I've got ticket and we've got book page. And we've used book page throughout the construction of the page. So that's going to go here. So let's glue our flower down first. Okay, here's the spread. Now I'm sorry about that last little bit of footage. Unfortunately, my battery on my microphone ran out of charge. The last little bit that I was talking, it had no sound. So let's just recap on what we did on the spread. Now, the prompts were antique pattern, ticket, and book page. And my antique pattern, I pulled in William Morris, and I pulled in one of his quite well-known wallpaper designs and patterns. And the pattern is called Pimpernel, and some of you may have seen it before in some of his things. And I also used William Morris patterned on the back of the tickets because it was a digital download. And I'll link down below in the description the link for you to go to the Torn page, that's the name, on Etsy to get the downloads if you'd like to buy them. You can see also that I've used tickets, and I've got a couple of tickets here in that digital download, and I also have made a flip out with a ticket and put our prompts onto it, so you can see there. And then I've used book page. So in the background here, I used book page on the first Botanic Gardens, and the page that we got the flowers out of, I've stuck that book page into the background of this composition on this side. Plus, when I was wrapping the frame, I wrapped all of the frame in little pieces of torn up book page. So that's how I interpreted the prompt. So I'll show you an up close of the spread. There we go. That's our last composition. And I finished it off by saying, collect beautiful moments. And this month of doing this July Junk Journal has been a beautiful moment for me. So I'm so thrilled that I participated in it. It's been so rewarding, and thank you to everybody that has contributed to me enjoying myself so much. So, for those of you that are interested, I will now do a little flip through just very quickly of my journal, and I'll show you how I decorated the front cover because I didn't have that done. I don't do that until the end, until I get a feel for the journal and reflect on what I've learned and what I've experienced. So let's have a quick look at that now. So here's my journal, and I didn't use any mushrooms in any of the spreads, so I thought it was a perfect place to use the mushrooms on the front of the cover because in Australia at the moment it is winter. Mushrooms always remind me of autumn and winter. And mushrooms grow as well. They just grow anywhere where there's food and where there's water. And I kind of feel a little bit like a mushroom this month because I've had so much time and opportunity to try something new. And the prompts have been a little bit challenging at times, but they've been really enjoyable and made me think out of the box. So I've called my journal Time to Grow because mushrooms need time to grow, but they do grow quickly once they're watered and fed. And I've just put down the hashtag here so that I can always look at that if I want to and check out everybody's videos again. And I'll show you a close-up of that. And it's just got a little bit of texture on it with some cheesecloth. And I stamped out the labels and I've put some shadows in, a little bit of pen work, and finished it off with some white splatters. And the background, I just used a background from Collage Soup. So there we go. And on the inside, I've got a pocket here for me to put in my information sheet. So let's have a quick flick through just very quickly and I'll show you where I used the prompts. So prompt 1 and 2 were torn edges and a touch of gold. And you can see that I tore the edges of the side here. I also tore the edge of the journaling card and all of the torn edges on the back. And touch of gold, we've got gold foiled cardstock, some gold here, and then I did some stenciling and dropped some gold ink into it. And I've got a gold frame around the photo. So that was almost like an introduction to me. Then prompt 2, we've got botanical and something vintage. And I use vintage inspired background and a vintage image of a succulent that was flowering. And I also have a field notes tag that just slides in there. Prompt 5 and 6 was a tag in one color. And this was our tag of our little girl patting the heron. And it says, there is nothing like a dream to create the future. And she's dreaming of her future. Then we had a double spread of Stamp It and words. And in this one, I stamped all the words of what I felt and experienced when I went to the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. You can see that I've just tucked in a journaling spot there. The next one, we had lace and worn, and I used old worn book pages here that were very old, some worn postcards. I also tore up some patterns of lace and put lace along the pocket. The next one here, we have scribbles or doodles and a window or peek through, and you can see that I've got a window of an envelope looking through to this journaling card, and I doodled all of this seaweed here and did some scribbles around. Okay, and then prompts number 13 and 14 were maps and faded photo. And here we have Alfred, and he's going off to sea, and he's going to the Isle of Dogs. Here we've got a map of the Isle of Dogs where he's getting on his ship. And you can see that I did end up doing a journaling spot out of his tools to go there. So there's our faded photo of Alfred. Then our next one was 15 and 16. We've got written in the margin and postcard, and I revamped an old postcard and gave it a facelift. And I also wrote in the margin the words to this hymn, which is How Great Thou Art, and talking about awesome wonder. Then we have 17 and 18, which is found in the forest and birds, and we have some black cockatoos here in Australia, and you can see that we've got a foresty kind of backdrop, and I put in some real gum leaves and gum nuts. Then our next one was tea bag and old person, and we have our lovely lady here. We didn't end up naming her, and I think she looks like a Frances, so I'm going to call her Frances. And I made a tea bag shawl for her and stamped it, and we made a pleated frill here out of tea bags as well, so that she's our old person. She's a very sprightly old person though. And then we have today's, which we've been through, antique pattern, ticket, and book page. And then we get to the back of the journal, and I've just got some pockets. So there we go. So that's the end of my July Junk Journal challenge. So I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for watching my videos and for subscribing and for clicking the lights, and for mostly for all of your lovely comments. And it's been wonderful getting to know some of you. We've been commenting back and forward on some of our videos, and it's nice getting to know some of you a little bit deeper. And I look forward to watching your videos as we move forward in the year. That's exciting for me to have been part of this community. And I'd like to send out a heartfelt thank you to Lee for organising this and facilitating it. I really appreciate it. I look forward to hopefully doing some more challenges with you in the future. That's all for now, but I do have some exciting things coming up in August that I'm going to be working on. Yeah, I hope that you all stick around to see what I've got coming up, and I'll be checking out your channels as the year progresses. So God bless and keep creating, and I'll see you all very soon. Thanks again. Bye for now.